IFBB Pro and Coach Greg Doucette, Masters Kinesiology, and today I wanted to talk to you about Acromegaly, or also known as Gigantism. Okay, everybody in the world has heard of Andre the Giant, and so as soon as that name comes up, that's what I think about as the example. Okay, the reason I'm doing this topic is because I did one on Caster Semenya, and a lot of the comments were basically just downright rude and talking about how she's a man and half woman because she makes too much testosterone, blah, 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 and that she's literally not allowed to compete in sport anymore unless she takes drugs to lower her testosterone. So I said, well, why don't pick something that guys can relate to? Say hi to baby Nakey, getting bigger. So, men, Andre the Giant. He's huge. I met this guy when I was 13 years old at a wrestling event in Halifax, Nova Scotia, and I could not believe how big this guy was. I also had met Zeus and was like, man, these guys are so big. Andre the Giant is so big. He's bigger than the Mountain. Like, Mountain's like, I don't know, 6'10" and like 400. Andre the Giant's like 7'2" and like 500 pounds. So big. God-given size. He was born this way. Not growth hormone, not taking steroids. He was born to be like this man that he was. And it's not all good. I'll get into some of the bad things. Okay, I'll just go ahead and say them. So when you have acromegaly and gigantism, your body, your pituitary gland is producing too much growth hormone. Most often it's because there's a tumor growing on it. And then that causes the growth hormone to be released all the time. Growth hormone is responsible for making you grow. So what happens? Everything grows too much. Your bones grow longer, thicker, and you get all kinds of problems. Your organs will grow too much. So when you get older, you'll have, not guaranteed have, but you can get diabetes, cardiovascular disease, you can get like heart attacks, you sweat like crazy, you smell bad, you snore like unbelievably bad, your voice is all like hoarse, like, well, you remember Andre, the way he would speak, and so on. So there's a lot of disordered things that happen with this, and so your life expectancy isn't very long. Today, they can detect it earlier, and then they can give you drugs to prevent the release of the growth hormone so that it's not so crazy, so that you don't grow to be as big as Andre the Giant. Maybe instead of being 7'2" and 500 pounds, maybe he would have stopped at 6'9" and 400 pounds, and then maybe he would have been able to live a longer life, type of thing. Okay? They can also do surgery to remove this tumor depending on where it is, and I'm not a doctor here, but they can remove it, and you don't want to kill somebody if it's growing on a nerve or whatever. Okay? So, should Andre the Giant, or any man who has it, be banned from sports competitions because of an unfair genetic God-given issue that they were born with? I think they should absolutely be allowed to compete. How is it fair? You're born this way. If I was born to be 6'10" and I like basketball, I'd be playing basketball. Screw bodybuilding. I'll play whatever I'm good at. I find you do what you're good at. If I was good at bench pressing, I'd bench press. That's why I bench press. Good at deadlift. If I was the best runner ever, I'd friggin' run. Usain Bolt. Like, you just do what you're born to be good at. So you're going to take away the right of somebody from their birth, like, born to be this way, not something they could control, and say, you cannot do sports because you have an unfair advantage. You had a tumor growing on your body, and it made you 7 feet tall, and you can slam dunk over everyone, so you can't play. It's not fair. Same as if you're a woman, and you have the same disorder, and she's 7'4", and she plays basketball, she just stands there and looks at everyone and dunks over them. Too bad. That's her birthright. She was born to have this problem, okay? Problem or genetic advantage, whatever. You don't think there's anyone in the NFL or NBA or any high-level sports that has this disorder that we just don't really know about because it's not diagnosed technically, or they caught it at an early enough age to prevent it from going too crazy. So instead of making like 10 times too much growth hormone, they only have 3 times too much. So instead of being like 7 foot something and 500 pounds, they're 6'6" and 300 pounds of linebacker muscle, and they can tackle everyone, and you know what I mean? It's a birth issue, okay? There's also something, there's something called PCOS, polycystic ovarian syndrome. It's something that women get. 5% of women, I think, 10%. The stats are hard because it's not always diagnosed. This is when you have basically too much androgens being produced by the human body, by women. And so they end up with too much hair and a deeper voice, and they would kind of look like they're on steroids, but they're not. They're all natty, natural. Beard, muscles, bigger. They have obviously some negative sides that go with that, but just because you see a girl walking around that shaves and has a beard doesn't mean you can walk around and point and stare and say, "You're on steroids, you loser." And that's literally what people do. And I have coached several females with this disorder, and it's not their choice that they were born this way, and they have to shave, and some look more manly than others, and it's not their fault, and you can't just say they're on steroids just because of it and take away their work ethic and say, well, it's this genetic advantage that they... Everything you do in life is a genetic advantage if you're really good at it. If you're really smart, you're born really smart, and when you study, you learn better. That's how it works. If you're 7 feet tall, you play basketball better. If your heart is really awesome, it pumps blood better, then you win the Tour de France or you win the marathon. You know, if you're really good at ping pong, you have really good hand-eye coordination. You're born with this genetic ability to do this. It's free. Obviously, you work hard and you train hard to get there, but it's still genetic. It's still an advantage that you are given from birth. That's sports. We're looking for the best freak. Okay, so so gigantism. It's a genetic condition to compare so that you can get an appreciation for what it's like for women who are born with too much androgens, which means they have too much testosterone in their bodies, more than the normal range that females have. And because of that, they do have a genetic advantage to compete and be better and win sports. Thank God they have something. Half of them aren't, and you read the comments. Well, she looks manly. She doesn't look very good. She's not very hot. She looks like a dude, man. They have to friggin' live their whole lives listen to this bullshit just because they're not some sex pot, hot chick supermodel. Women and men. Women have to look like some beauty pageant Playboy models, and men have to look like He-Man. It's this pressure from society to look a certain way, and if you don't look that way, people try to insult you. Same as if you like guys or girls. People call me gay all the time. They think it's some insult. It's like as if your sexual orientation matters in the slightest. Who cares? If you're a guy and you like guys, so be it. If you're a girl and you like girls, so be it. It matters nothing to me. It's zero of relevance. And to insult somebody by calling them on what sex they like, to me that's the same thing like making fun of somebody for their skin color. Oh, I don't like you because you're black. What kind of comment is that? I don't like you because you're Chinese. It's like, really, people? It's 2019 and you're going to say stuff like that? It's embarrassing, okay? Anyway, I'll end the video there, and I hope that you learned something about gigantism. I hope you learned something about females and their androgen production and how competitive sport is not technically fair. It favors those who are freaks, okay? It just happens to be like that. There's a male division and there's a female division. You could have just one division. It could be called open. Men compete against women. But the reason they don't have that is because they felt like, well, men are usually bigger and stronger and so they would win. Not all the time, that's for friggin' sure. I certainly couldn't beat any girl in the Olympics in anything. I don't even care what sport you name. Every single, the worst one in the Olympics is going to kick my ass in a 100-meter dash or a marathon or whatever, bike race, basketball, anything. So it's not like women can't compete with men. It's just at the top of the top of the top, the best guy is usually going to be better than the best girl. So they have two divisions. And so somebody, if they're a woman, is going to come out on top that's going to have more male characteristics, because if they're more Mr. Olympia muscle, they can throw the shot put further. If they're taller, they can slam dunk better, whatever. If they have more testosterone, then that obviously gives them an advantage to compete, but that's the sport. If you're a woman, you're a woman. You compete against women. It doesn't matter if you're born with too much testosterone and you have a beard. So what? Unless you start putting in 55 divisions, like women who have testosterone levels of below 1 nanogram per liter or decimal, whatever. Women who have between 1 and 2. And then you have what? Basketball, the 5'6" and under league, the 5'9" and under league, the 6 foot, the 6'3". And you're going to have every single division. I mean, honestly, they have it in powerlifting. There's like 10 different weight classes. Bodybuilding, bantamweight, lightweight, welterweight, middleweight. There's so many divisions. So unless you start putting a division for everything, 20 years old, up to 25, teenager, women, men, men who want to transition to women, men who have already transitioned to women for 5 years or longer, but are over 6 feet tall. You can't have 5,000 categories. We have men and women. If you're a woman and you happen to have more male hormone in you, then that's just your freaking good fortune this time. For once in your life, you're not going to get made fun of, we would hope, for something that you were born with. Anyway, I'm going to end it there. Like the video if you liked it. Subscribe to my channel and message gregdoucette@hotmail.com for coaching. That is what I do for a living. I don't just coach Mr. Olympia bodybuilders. I coach mostly people like you who are watching the video who are like, I want to get in better shape and lose some weight and get more muscle and feel better about myself. And I think that Greg guy could help me. And I've done this my whole life. I'm 43 years old and I still love the sport. I'm passionate about fitness and health. And so message me, gregdoucette@hotmail.com, and we can get started working on your plan. Not today, probably in 2 days. Later.